Hello. Good evening, everyone. Everyone here, everyone there, everyone in between. Thank you very much. We are continuing our Thursday evening study of Buddhist texts. During this term, we are studying the history of Buddhism. So before we begin, take a couple moments to collect your thoughts and intention. And in order to induce this, we will recite the prayers, starting with the refuge, which is honoring the refuge object, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and then commitment to practice loving kindness, compassion, joyfulness, and equanimity in everyday life situation. Today especially is the first Thursday of the Sagadawa month, which is the month of many merits because it commemorates the birth, enlightenment of Buddha. According to Buddhist calendar, this month is very sacred. And so anyone resolute to do good, inspired by the Buddha's teaching, listening to the Dharma or reflecting on the meaning, reading your practices and meditating, discussing are all virtuous things to do. So thank you for everyone joining me and your friends. It may appear not so many on the surface, but actually we have over 200 people watching this per week, so we actually have a good passive audience. Actively, of course, the people who have time and who have other constraints make me harder, but people are actually taking time to watch these teachings on Zoom and on YouTube. So we rejoice all those doing that. Today we will start with the prayers and we'll recite 1 round of Mala Om Mani Padme Hum, because one of our dear Dharma friends, Eric, his 2 brothers have passed away almost one after another, only with a couple of weeks gap. So he had to crisscross between here and Brisbane and South Coast to assist them. And today he had the funeral of his brother here in Canberra. And so Eric, if you don't know, was one of our resident monks living in Siba, and more recently he assisted with Temple Project as a graphic designer, and he continued to help and work with us all the time. So we're going to start the refuge prayer, and for a measure followed by the 1 rounds of Om Mani Padme Hum. You can visualize yourself or on top of your crown or Avalokita Buddha of compassion, from whose heart radiate 6-fold rays of light and touches the spirits of the deceased, like Eric's 2 brothers. One is Gordon. I don't know what the other's name is. So 2 brothers. I never met them. So, but there are many others who are dying. We know that Rachel does a weekly sur practice for all those deceased. Only last week she and I went to the funeral of someone who we don't know, but he expressed in his will to have a Buddhist prayer done at his burial. So we are doing various things very, very in a small way, but consistently when people request. So with this in mind, we will do the Om Mani Padme Hum after the actual prayers. in the Buddha Dharma Vasanga, I take refuge in enlightenment by virtue I give and I shall Buddha to be in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha I take refuge in enlightenment by virtue I give and I shall Buddha to be in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha I take refuge in enlightenment by virtue I give and I shall Buddha would may all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they have a power of happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion of those never. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they have a power of happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion of those never. May all beings happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness they know suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far, according to the intelligent and predisposition of the Eugene Obermiller, Agrelo, Jinjin Mako Kandaga Zosan, Jijila Jaduji, Jinjin Jela Zena Zela Janzalo, Mani Badme, Omani 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 Badme. Omani Badme, 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 Omani Badme. Omani Badme, 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 Omani Amane Bama, 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 Omane 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 bema, 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 omane bema. Omane bema, Gewandi, Nyadada, Andru Yanandru Azijama, Tezalanga Vaja, Miyanga Zudunga Minja, Kawaja, Bamebaya, Lave, Tada Zanje Nyadaja, Bemandamya Magawa, Suzanja Magawa, Zibe Bemale, Deva Janda Jawarajo. So we are looking at the second main part of this book, which is the coming of Buddhism in India and Tibet. So this part goes on to what makes a Buddha to come. Conventionally, people think Buddha was a prince and he was just like he was born in a good family but become disgruntled and then went in search of truth and then renounced the world and then meditated for 6 years, attained enlightenment. That is the conventional story. But according to Mahayana Buddhism, they don't see it that way. They see the Buddha as a fully enlightened one already before he came to the world. Even though the conventional story does relate to one we believe, but nevertheless he was already enlightened. But he deliberately came to show the way, how to practice the way, and in the way that he has first deliberately chosen to be born in a wealthy, princely family, and which has everything you can ask for. He deliberately did that in order to show people that even the most powerful position and wealthiest position, most highly aspired position that most people seek to become, is actually meaningless if your mind is ravaged by greed, hatred, and ignorance. So therefore, Mahayana teaching teaches how such an enlightened one has such amazing vision to come to the world and show the way he did. And therefore, this second part of the book talks about how the Buddha, when does a Buddha come to the world, and what has he already accomplished to become the Buddha, come to the world and show the way. And so here it is talking about the aeon in which a Buddha appears. There are bright aeon and dark aeon. And only during a bright aeon the Buddha come to the world. In the dark aeon there's no Buddha, there's no way, no teachings of the Dharma. Only after many thousands of dark aeon there seldom appears one bright aeon. And only during such a bright aeon a Buddha may appear. But among those bright aeons, the bright aeons are common aeons, but the fortunate bright aeons are very, very rare. So only during fortunate bright aeon the Buddha comes. And if people like us are born in that aeon, it's considered to be very, very rare match. So here it therefore has been talking. Last two sessions we went through what constitute becoming a Buddha, how does he accumulate merit to become an enlightened one, how he become the chosen one in the heavens, and how he become then anointed to come to the world at a particular time when collective merit of the people warrants, then only a Buddha appears. In time is fortunate eon, and the time is when human beings only average lifespan is 100 years old. So those concepts has been already been discussed in the last two sessions. Tonight it goes on to explain a little bit more on the concept of eons, during which Buddha accumulate merit. Because it says Buddha accumulate merit not just a couple of years or a couple of months or a couple of lifetimes, thousands of eons he accumulate merit, and then he accomplished the accumulation of merit, and then he achieves sufficient merit with the path of preparation, and then goes to path of seeing, which is path of enlightenment, path of meditation, path of normal learning. So having accomplished all the 5 paths and 10 bhumis, then he becomes a bodhisattva. Once he has become a full-fledged bodhisattva, then he chooses to come to the world in disguise of the prince like Siddhartha. So that's the story. And tonight, first we go on to the scriptures gives us, on page 144, those you have got text, the scripture gives us many different versions as regard this subject. This subject is the time it takes to accumulate the merit, to complete the path of accumulation, which is the first of the 5 paths. It speaks of 3, 7, 10, and 33 immeasurable periods of eons. So it talks about uncountable number of eons it takes for one to accomplish path of accumulation. Some of the discourses have moreover number 13, 13 is 13 zeros, 13 zeros. And I was looking at the English equivalent of some of the big number of zeros, as we haven't got many. They talk about, of course, 1 eon, 10 eon, 100 eon, 1,000 eon, 10,000 eon, 100,000 eon, 1 million eon, 10 million year, 1 billion eon, 10 billion eon, and 10 billion is 1 trillion year, and 10 trillion is 1 quadrillion. You name it. This is almost. There's a word for everything, by the way. Some of you never heard before. In Tibetan, there's this incredible list of numbers. So what it talks about in this page 444 is that the scriptures mention these three immeasurable periods. As concerns the meaning of the term immeasurable period, its imperative is likewise different. The commentary on the Abhidharma Kosha and the Munimatalankara, other works say that the world, asankhya, means innumerable, has not, in this case, the meaning of beyond calculation, but it is the name of the definite number, which has its place in the decimal system as one of the 60 numbers, 60 zeros, that usually are met with in scientific works. So it lists all the numbers, as many as 1, 2, 3, 4, 16 times 3. That's like 78. 78 zeros. Anyway, after this number, 8 numbers more of the decimal systems are mentioned. It is said that further on Bodhisattva Bhumi, there are 2 methods of counting immeasurable periods of eons. According to the first of these methods, the periods derive their name from the years, months, and moments, which in regard as each eon are immeasurables. Otherwise one may explain, because when we say eon, when we say year, that is 12 months of 12 months, each of the month making having 30 days or 31 days, so 365 days. 365 days counted as a 1 year is only a human year. But the dog has a different number of years. And the gods of demigods and all of them have a completely different number of years. So the counting system is completely relative only. Otherwise, one may explain the term immeasurable period as extending beyond every imaginable number. Yeah, beyond every imagined number, because otherwise word immeasurable wouldn't be used. Those who are of the opinion that many immeasurable periods are required for the attainment of Buddhahood admit the first system. So this is talking about the inconceivable number of eons for someone like the Shakyamuni Buddha to have accumulated all the meritorious deeds, be that generosity, be that self-discipline, patience, joyous effort, meditation, wisdom, whatever all the qualities or merits, virtues that a bodhisattva needs to practice, they have done that for so many uncountable eons to become the chosen one. The chosen one, yeah. On the contrary, those who hold three immeasurable periods to be sufficient, some people think three immeasurable periods sufficient, consider the second system to be the right one. Indeed, it may be in harmony with the sutras where it is said, extending beyond the number of eons, equal to the sands of the Ganges. Because sands of the Ganges, the Indians think the longest river is the Ganges, you know. The river Ganges is fairly long, and so they never talk about the sands of the Atlantic Ocean or Pacific Ocean or River Nile, because this is Indians talking about Ganges all the time. They are Ganga centric, because they only talk Ganges River. They don't realize they're much longer rivers than Ganges. So anyway, when they say that if you were to count the particles of the sands found in the Ganges River, you know, would that be possible to count, you know? So they usually use the Ganges River. You know, sands of the equal to that of the sand of Ganges. In the commentary Astasasika, we read the mentioning of the three immeasurable periods is conventional. Yeah. So what they're trying to say is that Buddha is incredibly inconceivable, hard to become one, to enlighten, to be a fully enlightened one, for the length of that many eons, to accumulate all the meritorious deeds, day after day, year after year, month, and then eon after eon, and to become that. So this is just to increase our depth and devotion more than we used to think Buddha's qualities are. So that's the main purpose is that. How difficult it is for us to be born as a precious human rebirth when the Buddha has come, where we have some kind of affinity to feel the teaching so true, and we feel drawn to it. This kind of coming match is very hard to come by. So when you talk about the why coming of the Buddhism, history of Buddhism important is why we happen to be here, and enticing and relishing the nectar of the Dharma. So this is the purpose of why they talk about how long it takes to become a Buddha, okay? To increase our gratitude, I suppose. From the standpoint of the sutras, direct meaning, number is in reality 33, as it is said. Indeed, the first period begins with the primary stage of accumulation, ends with the first stage of enlightenment. Second commences with the immaculate stage. So the second refers to the different bhumis. Yeah, first bhumi, joyous one. Second is immaculate one. So they're talking about how many eons it takes to reach one bhumi. 33 for the first bhumi. And then the 7th for the second bhumi. 7, this is talking about eons, yeah? Eons. Otherwise, three immeasurable period lasts 54 from the stage called immovable and up to the attainment of Buddhahood. So immovable one is 8th bhumi. Thus, may it be said, if it is stated Buddhahood may be attained in 3 immeasurable periods, it will be in conflict with the sutra's direct meaning. Yeah, if you say it's only 3 immeasurable eons, it's in conflict with all the measurable eons. To this we answer, this is quite right. Indeed, the time of accumulating merit is generally divided into 3 equal portions, and this is the reason that 3 immeasurable periods are frequently spoken of in scriptures. This, however, is by no means the true state of things, and consequently it is quite right that the version of the sutras of conventional meaning proves to be contradictory. Indeed, it has been said by Vasubandhu himself. Vasubandhu is the 4th century celebrated Indian epistemologist and author of Abhidharma Kosha. The first period of eon passes away while the bodhisattva brings to termination the preliminary stage of accumulating merit. Thereafter, the stage of faith is brought into completion, and in the meantime, the second period of eon elapses. So it's talking about how eon itself is subdivided. Finally, the bodhisattva enters the 10 main stages, rising higher and higher from the stage of joy, which is the first bhumi, up to the final stage of bodhisattva perfection, that of clouds of the truth. Clouds of the truth, Dharma Mega is called, clouds of the truth, clouds of the Dharma. Each of these 10 stages, is brought to accomplishment during 3 immeasurable periods, and they are all terminated the stage of bodhisattva, and that the all-pervading light is reached. Consequently, the stage of Buddha is attained after 33 immeasurable periods of eons. What Buton is trying to tell us is that the number of eons it took the bodhisattva to attain enlightenment is beyond our mathematical calculations. Why is he telling this is rarity of the Buddha coming to the world. The eon is so many dark eons, and then after many dark eons only comes bright eons. Among the bright eons, the fortunate eon is very rare. Buddha only appears during fortunate eon, and if we are born in the eon when the Buddha come in the fortunate eon, that kind of match is very rare. So the purpose of this discourse is try to make ourselves feel blessed and fortunate to have the karma to be drawn to the Dharma and see how true it is to heal your wounds of sorrow, hurt, pain, anger, greed, and so on. And then we find then the Dharmas, the incredible, like they usually say that, like Shantideva says, like in the middle of a dark night, if there's a flash of lightning, when you have lost your golden ring, and then chances of helping to find the golden ring by that lightning is very slim. So finding precious human rebirth in this dark world of greed, hatred, ignorance is very rare to meet with the Dharma. So therefore, purpose of this discourse is for us to rejoice the fact that we have found faith and believing in the Dharma and how true it is. And the fact that Buddha has come not so long ago, only 2,000 plus years ago, comparison with those eons, 2,000 years is just easy to count. It's just 500 BC, that's all. Even Christ only came 2,000 years ago, 2026. It's what happened before that? Nothing. There was nothing before that, I suppose. But according to Buddhism, there were 500 years before that Buddha came, and then so on and so on. If you've had backtrace everything. As to the traditional Lalita Vistara is a particular Mahayana Buddhist text which actually tells all the story of the historical Buddhas coming to the world. Because book like this has to always refer back to classical Buddhist texts like Lalita Vistara. Buddha has brought to maturity all roots of virtue during 7 immeasurable eons. This tradition consequently considers 7 periods of the time required for the attainment of Buddhahood. So according to Lalita Vistara, it needs 7 eons to attain Buddhahood. 6 years sitting under Bodhi tree is just small rehearsal, small show on the stage. According to the Vinatadeva's Nikaya Vedopadarshana Sangraha, so there's another text. Some of the some of the Theravada sects admit in their turn 10 periods. We have thus a great many different tradition and interpretation as regard the time of accumulating merit. It has, however, been said by Maitreya, this is regarded as first stage, attained after immeasurable eons, and the end of the path of concentration is attained after the termination of the 2 immeasurable periods. According to these 2 verses, 3 periods are likewise admitted. Now, these immeasurable periods of accumulating merit do not begin immediately after the Bodhisattva's initial vow. It is said that said in the Ratnamegha Sutra. Ratnamegha Sutra is the discourses on the precious cloud. O noble youth, the state of Buddha is completely attained only after many immeasurable eons. O noble youth, the Buddha is inaccessible to measure, thought, and investigation. The Bodhisattva Savanivarana Vishkambini asked, O Lord, is it not possible for us to become Buddhas after 3 immeasurable eons? The Lord replied, O noble youth, you can though ask such a question. The attainment of sphere of Buddha by a bodhisattva is a thing inconceivable to the mind, and it is not possible to reach this goal within the time of 3 immeasurable eons. The periods of accumulation commence when the bodhisattva has succumbed to the conception of the unity of the universe. From that time, eons are to be counted, and not from the bodhisattva's initial vow. So from the day one takes the vow does not start. Is not considered to be attainment of enlightenment. So, according to that, and in the Mahayana Sangraha, this is a Mahayana text, is a compendium of Mahayana Buddhist texts. We read, endowed with the power of the good qualities, and with that of solemn oaths, and with the firm mind, venturing on sublime path, the Bodhisattva begins his accumulation merit for 3 immeasurable periods of eons. The Mahayana Sangraha Upanibandhana comments this verse as follows. Good qualities means same as virtue, and the Bodhisattva being possessed of the power of virtue is spoken of as endowed with power of good qualities. He is likewise regarded as possessing the power of his solemn oaths and of prayer, since this power makes themselves manifest in him. The first of this power is concluded from the Bodhisattva being inaccessible to the harm from the part of the hostile agency. And so there is a time when the Bodhisattva develops that he cannot be harmed by anybody, no matter how many beings seek to harm out of jealousy and competitiveness and whatnot. And the second is by his invariably meeting with the teacher who guides him in precept. The firmness of the Bodhisattva's mind shows itself by his never giving up the thoughts direct towards enlightenment. So meaning no matter how many difficult challenges he faces, he never thinks of giving up bodhicitta, in spite of the attempts of bad friends to divert him. Now, you've got a lot of people, as soon as you have just a passing negative kind of discouragement by somebody, most people just fall like flies. The Bodhisattva, it says that no matter how many people try to harm you, that the bad friends cannot divert him. Venturing on sublime path means that a Bodhisattva in his life and in the future states of existence gives increase to all the virtuous qualities, never become destitute of any of them. Yeah. You might think your life is precious. You might think you have refuge. You might think you've been practicing Dharma for a while. Yeah, sometimes if you are vulnerable to be discouraged by someone who had a negative influence, try to influence someone to you against Dharma or whatever, a lot of people are quickly poisoned by that, and they don't have any leg to stand on. They have no merit to stand on. They quickly swayed by negative influences and loses their faith in no time. So it's talking about how difficult it is to stay very firm and unwavered. The Bodhisattva means warrior. Sattva means the warrior. Warrior who is able to defeat these kind of hindrances and obstacles and unimpeded by them, he stay very firm. Yeah, that the Bodhisattva in this life and in future states gives increase to the virtuous qualities, never become destitute of any of them. Consequently, when he becomes possessed of the force of the roots of virtue, and with that of his vows, obtains a firm mind, which it is impossible to divert, is no more contented with slight, insignificant merits. Yeah, he's not satisfied with insignificant, small amount of merit. From that time, a bodhisattva begins the path of accumulation merit for 3 uncountable eons. You see, it's only accumulation merit begins when you are no longer falterable or divertible by any negative influences. You stay very firm. You know, sometimes you believe, you respect somebody, and if he says something completely against, says some discourages about the path or the way or the precepts or practice, a lot of people completely fall because of his friend says that, did that. You wouldn't believe how many people are so much like a piece of flag in the wind. Just wind comes this way, they go this way. Wind comes this way, they go there. They don't have any feet to stand on. So here it says, a bodhisattva's path of accumulation begins when he has such a firm steadiness, is unfalterable steadiness. Some authorities say that the immeasurable periods begin from the path of training. Yeah, path of training means path of preparation. Since it is said in the Bodhisattva Bhumi is another Mahayana, famous Mahayana Shastra, commentarial text by Asanga. During the first immeasurable eon period, one abides on the path, the stage of faith. Yeah, stage of faith we discussed last week is that you have faith and you are mainly motivated by your faith. Faith means you have this great lucid mind, how true the Dharma is, and you're only maintained by support of devotion. And later, having been terminated, the entrance upon the stage of joy is secured. So when you have entered the path, first bhumi, and in the commentary it is to be read, because the commencement of this first immeasurable period from the stage of faith is made from the bodhisattva being firmly rooted in virtue through his persistent fiery energy. All this requires accurate examination. This is why Buton is talking how important it is, what actually is the stage when the path of accumulation actually begins. And the question isn't so how many eons, but how many, at what point does anything begins to constitute the path of accumulation. It is, if it's said that the first period begins from the stage of faith, this doesn't mean that it commences only in the path of training. You see? In the same Bodhisattva Bhumi we read that the stage of faith begins directly after the initial vow of the Bodhisattva. Initial vow of the Bodhisattva when one knowingly said, I will. I see the demerit of selfishness. I see the merit of selflessness. From today onwards, I will turn my back to selfishness, but to take on the selfless act of the Bodhisattva. When one has knowingly made the vow, initial vow, the Bodhisattva who has attained the stage of faith, because you wouldn't say that unless you really have the faith that you are ready to do, who has attained the stage of faith and got a firm position in the Mahayanistic family. The Mahayanistic family is that your heart is, Maha means great. So great a scope that you're not doing this for yourself, You're not doing for this life. You're not doing for future life. You're doing this for the sake of all sentient beings, for however many long times it may take, until essence of enlightenment reached. So that's the Mahayanistic in terms of objective, in terms of duration, in terms of method, in terms of practice, in terms of diligence, in terms of varieties of ways that you will practice. So this is Maha, means great many scope. You wouldn't try only once, you will try all kinds of ways to get you move forward. So is not, however, able during that period that lasts from the moment of the first great vow up to his entering the stage of joy. Stage of joy is the first booming. To attain alone and by himself the passage out of the world. Consequently, the first immeasurable period begins long before the Bodhisattva has entered the path of training. For if this were otherwise, there would be a disagreement with scriptures, as we have seen above, and with the statement of Abhayakara Gupta, that the first immeasurable period begins with the path of accumulated merit, lasts till end of the first stage. So they're talking about the demarcation of the path of accumulation, which is actually subdivided into 9. Beginners, beginning, beginners, beginner, beginners, medium of beginner, and advance of the beginner. And then the intermediates, beginner, intermediate, intermediate, advanced intermediate, and then advanced beginner, advanced intermediate, advanced advanced. So these 9 sub-stages of the path of accumulation has to be demarcatable, where when it starts, the beginner's beginner, when it completes, the advanced. So everything has to be sort of stage by stage. Has to be, you should be able to know when starts when finish what, and so on. Therefore, the first period in reality commences when the Bodhisattva, abiding the path of accumulation, has become possessed of the power of virtue. You have a virtue of tolerance, virtue of generosity, virtue of humility, virtue of not judging others, virtue of lack of resentment, virtue of remembering the kindness of others, in spite of how difficult they may see now. This is how the virtue is virtue, because it withstands is with opposites. Again, we read in the Nirannaya Sangraha, how is it possible to attain supreme enlightenment during one single state of existence, if even the attainment of Arhatship requires not one life, but a long session of rebirths? Answer: it is possible by miraculously prolonging the activity of the vital force, and the Madhyamika Dharmatra says, by the force of the supernatural faculties and energy of Bodhisattva, 3 immeasurable periods may lose their obligatory character. So this is talking about the question of when does the path of accumulation begin and completes. There's a lot of detailed teachings on this. The Mahayanistic tradition concerning Buddha's accumulating merit. So that's what we have discussed thus far is general Buddhist discussion. Now, specifically Mahayanist tradition talk about Buddha's accumulation as follows. The tradition of the Bodhisattva Pitaka on this subject is as follows. Our teacher, when Shakyamuni Buddha, when he was existing in the form of the Prince Charitavirya, the son of the king Vajitayus, in the palace called Vijayadwaja, worshipped the Buddha Mahaskanda. So this is talking about past Buddha, who had come to this world and having engendered the roots of virtue, accumulate merit for one immeasurable period of eon and attained the first stage of Bodhisattva perfection. So he attained the first stage of perfection in front of the Buddha Mahaskanda. Thereafter, having been born as a merchant, Prajnabhadra, the minister of King Sundaraloka in the city called Jambuna Disuvarna, he worshipped the Buddha Ratnanga, who had appeared in this world, and took the latter's precepts to heart. From that time, so this is very good because it talks about the Buddha himself was a disciple practitioner in previous lifetimes of the Buddha, and he studied with them. From the time he began to accumulate merit for another immeasurable period, and through this he reached the seventh stage of enlightenment. Then, reborn as Megha, the son of Brahmana, he studied the Vedas with the Brahmana Ratna, and after that set out to search for the object of worship. After having passed through many cities in central India, he reached the marketplace of Padmavati, the residence of King Arindama. At that time, the son of the Brahmana, Dipapati, had just attained Buddhahood under the name of Dipankara. Dipankara is the previous Buddha, previous Buddha to Shakyamuni. And as he manifested himself in this world as the Buddha, the gods appeared in the skies to greet him with flowers, lutes, and cymbals in their hands, and singing songs of praise. This Megha Brahmana son saw and asked the gods, "What are you doing there?" The gods replied, "How dost thou not know? The Buddha Dipankara is residing here." Upon hearing this Megha thought, Megha is the future Buddha, for our present Shakyamuni Buddha's past life. "Oh, is it not easy to meet with the appearance of the Buddha? Therefore I should well do if I repay afterwards the money which I have to bring to my teacher, and then 100 Kashyapana. Kashyapana is the kind of money, the kind of currency during those I have collected to sacrifice to the Buddha." Having thus thought, he bought five blue lotus flowers from the Brahmin daughters Bandrabadika, and promised that she, as a reward for aiding him in his pious action, would henceforth in all her births have a good husband. Then he strewed the flowers to the feet of the Buddha Dipankara, having spread the skin of a black antelope before him, addressed him as follows: "O Dipankara, thou all-seeing Buddha, take thou to heart my best intention and deign to place thy feet on this dear skin." And as the Buddha descended, Megha delighted and prepared for him a seat covered with lion skin of color of gold, and said, "O Dipankara, thou all-seeing, if thou shalt not place thy feet on this, grant me thy prophecy, my body shall wither away on the spot." The teacher thus earnestly requested, sat down and spoke, "O brethren, ye are not to tread upon the head of this youth, for he is to become the object of reverence for all living beings, including gods. In times to come is he to be Shakyamuni." So therefore Shakyamuni was prophesied, yeah? Thus he prophesied, and Megha, full of highest delight, suddenly grew to the height of the 7 tala trees, and having practiced 100,000 forms of meditation, attained the 8th stage, as it is said. Having presented Buddha Dipankara with 5 blue lotuses and made him a seat out of a lion skin, I came to master the teaching of relativity and was foretold to be the foremost of the Shakyas. Moreover, in scriptures we read, "At that time, when we received the prophecy of the Dipankara, I attained the 8th stage of Bodhisattva, became possessed of 10 powers." So this talking about how Shakyamuni Buddha already attained the 8th stage of the Bodhisattva in front of the past Dipankara Buddha. And certain teacher, Chimpa tribe, says, "The end of the 3 uncountable immeasurable period coincides with the appearance of the Buddha Nakshatra. At that time, Buddha had brought to accomplishment the accumulation merit, but not completely, all in its form. Therefore, even during this eon, up to that time, when human age in its regress had attained limits of 20,000 years, he was reborn as a teacher and Brahmana son in the city of Nerdin." Now this is what, during the time of the king, during the time of previous Buddha, the Dipankara, people lived 20,000 years. That was the average lifespan. So that challenges historians. He continued to accumulate merit. During the whole of this immeasurable period of time,
Teacher worship an infinite number of Buddhas and studied their doctrine, as it is said in the Chanda Pradipa. I have worshipped hundreds of millions of Buddhas, and even more, number infinite, like that of the sand of the Ganges. And all these highest of living beings I have adored, sitting here on the Vulture's Peak. So this is talking about, according to Mahayana, that's how Shakyamuni Buddha reached the 8th stage of Buddhahood, already in the presence of the previous Buddha, Dipankara. Now, second is the attainment of Buddhahood according to Mahayana. So how did Shakyamuni Buddha attain enlightenment? This paragraph deals with the attainment of supreme enlightenment of Buddha. We have here to distinguish A, the essential character of Buddhahood, what constitutes Buddhahood. 2, special narrative of achievement performed by the teacher. 3, the investigation of in essence of the 3 different forms of the doctrine. This first is the essence of Buddhahood. The state of a Buddha is, in the diverse canonical works, differently characterized. 1, some take in consideration 3 distinctive features of Buddha's body as a substratum, his transcendental wisdom as the quality of his substratum, and acts of the Buddha. 2, others view his subject, 5 subjects, namely Buddha's body, word, mind, qualities, action. 3, still others admit 3 characteristics of removal of the obscuration, the perception of the truth, and the Buddha's activity. 4, and finally, there are authorities who characterize Buddhahood by 2 or 3 complements. As to the Buddha Bhumi Sutra, the version rendered by it considers the state of Buddha to have 5 distinctive attributes. These 5 are: 1, perfectly pure absolute; 2, the quiescent transcendental wisdom resembling a mirror; 3, altruistic transcendental wisdom characterized by equal treatment of oneself and others. Yeah, so this is the incredible being, seeing no one as different from himself, always treat others as equal. 4, the discriminative transcendental wisdom. 5, the active transcendental wisdom pursuing the welfare of all living beings. Moreover, the state of Buddhahood is viewed from the standpoint of his three or four bodies. 3 or 4 bodies. So Mahayana talk about the 4 bodies, 3 bodies. Body doesn't mean physical bodies, it means forms. Like Rupakaya, Dharmakaya, then the Dharmakaya is one, Rupakaya is divided into Nirmanakaya and Sambhokaya. So, and then Swabhavakaya, that's the 4 bodies. 4 bodies. Here we have to distinguish 5 points. 1, essential character of 3 bodies. 3 bodies is Dharmakaya, Nirmanakaya, Sambhokaya. The etymology of their Sanskrit names, like Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. See, this is why study of these texts will teach you etymology of the many crucial Buddhist texts. So this is forthcoming. The definite number of bodies means forms, the corresponding to each of them. D, by what sort of intellect each of these bodies is perceived. Yeah, who can see these 4 bodies? Like Dharmakaya, nobody can see. Rupakaya are a few kinds. Nirmanakaya, historic Buddha's body, we could see, excellent body. But Sambhogakaya, unless you are enlightened above 10 bhumi, you can't see. So it's talking about that. What sort of intellect each of these bodies is perceived. And varieties of bodies. These are 5 various. These are really now coming to some of the technical knowledge of Buddhist philosophy. Particularly talk about the 4 kayas and so on. The essence of the 3 bodies. The first, it is said in Sutra Alankara, the essential cosmical body, because cosmical body means Dharmakaya. The body of bliss, this is Sambhogakaya. Body of apparitional. See, this is, when Obermiller, the Russian who translated this book in, say, almost a century ago, he was using this kind of terminology. Yeah, he used cosmical body for Dharmakaya, which is nowadays translated as a true body. Bliss of body is enjoyment body, so it's reasonably close. Sambhogakaya, and the apparitional body. Apparitional means emanation body, Nirmanakaya. Such are the three forms of Buddhas. The immaculate absolute essence. The varieties of Buddha's bodies are essential body. Essential body means Swabhavakaya. Bliss body refers to Sambhogakaya. The another form is apparitional, that is Nirmanakaya. Nirmana means manifestation. Kaya means form, so manifestation form. Like Nirmanakaya itself got two kinds. Artistic Nirmanakaya, three kinds. Excellent Nirmanakaya, birth Nirmanakaya, artistic Nirmanakaya. Shakyamuni Buddha's body is excellent Nirmanakaya. Excellent Nirmanakaya necessarily have 112 marks, 80 major and 32 major and 80 minor marks, which is altogether 112 excellent signs. Like we don't have even one of the 112 signs. Some people think this one is this little thing under the nose, like a lotus petal that everybody has. This one is the sort of semi-sign of a would-be Buddha. Out of 112, we have this miserable thing. This is, I don't know whether it is or not, but anyway, it's not easy to have 112 if you cannot get even one. So like, that's excellent Nirmanakaya. Excellent Nirmanakaya is born with those incredible, when you see the Buddha, you wouldn't believe your eyes. You just behold once and that's it. It will just buzz you straight away. The holiness of the presence of the Buddha that we should imagine these days when we see tankas and statues consecrated, we actually try to visualize them as a true embodiment of that. Then it will instill faith in us like no other, because Buddha's body endows those 112. Excellent Nirmanakaya. Birth Nirmanakaya is people, bodhisattvas, who disguise themselves incognito, in human form, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, or His Holiness Sakya Kongwa Trijchen, or some others, whether known or unknown. They could be birth nirman. They're born as a human being, as a mother, as a daughter, as a father, as a merchant, as a medicine man, as a nurse, as a soup kitchen person. Some people are really, you can see they are really selfless, serving others, benefiting others. And they may outwardly be incognito, but deep down they are birth Nirmanakaya. So there's birth Nirmanakaya. Then there are other things like artistic Nirmanakaya, means people who may come as artists or musicians or poets, or through that they benefit many sentient beings through selfless acts. So there's even in Nirmanakaya itself 3 types, let alone the Sambhogakaya and so on. The first form means Dharmakaya, being the substratum of other two. Other two are Nirmanakaya and Sambhogakaya. Thus we have, first of all essential body. Essential body is Swabhavakaya. Swabhavakaya is just an essential quality of the Dharmakaya. So that's actually which is otherwise called fundamental or cosmical. Fundamental means alaya, cosmical means dharma, Dharmakaya. This form represents monistic absolute in its perfectly pure nature, and the quiescent transcendental wisdom, and resembles as a mirror. So that's like mirror can reflect anything, can reflect in a mirror. Mirror itself is empty of anything. So therefore, a horse can manifest, a single louse can also reflect in a mirror. Elephant can. Mirror doesn't have to get bigger to reflect an elephant. Mirror doesn't have to be so small to reflect a louse. Mirror doesn't have to be flying when it reflects an airplane. Mirror is so small, but yet it can reflect every object in that. So Dharmakaya is like a mirror. So the Dharmakaya is indivisible, like the sky. Like the mirror is indivisible. It's a non-discriminatory. Whoever shows in front of the mirror, it will reflect exactly as that, does not discriminate anybody. Sukunja Zunshindu Sososha, but the Rupakaya, the form body, manifests like a rainbow, according to whatever. The bliss body, which is Sambhogakaya, includes two other forms of divine wisdom: altruistic, abiding in the altruistic nirvana. So, because Sambhogakaya is resting in the state of the 10th bhumi and not manifesting in the samsara in enlightened form. They don't. They just stay in that state of Akanishta heaven. They don't come down. They stay in there, which is the result of contemplation of equality with regard to oneself and other living beings, and the discriminative transcendental wisdom perceiving everything cognizable without hindrance. The apparitional body, which is the Nirmanakaya, is the wisdom acting in behalf of the others, which conveys the fulfillment of all the projects of living beings by manifesting itself in various miraculous transformations. So this is what I was referring to before: the excellent Nirmanakaya, birth Nirmanakaya, and then artistic Nirmanakayas. Sutra Alankara says, immeasurable transformation of Buddhas are regarded as their apparitional body. So therefore, in Tibetan Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, we don't have any difficulty to consider the existence of more than one manifestation of Buddha. So that's why this very, very controversial topic of a High Lama having only one emanation is completely wrong. It's politicized. It can have as many as it sees fit. Like say, if the moon shines in the sky, if there are 100 vessels on the ground, there will be one manifestation in every vessel. So you can't say, oh, moon can reflect only in one, all the 199 pots are wrong. Why? So therefore, to say there's only one Dalai Lama or one Karmapa is completely politicized, because they're all holding on the position of the title of the Dalai Lama to one boy and not go to other. So this is how it has become politicized in the modern situations because of the political nature of things. But even in the not so interfered by other governments, in Tibet itself, always have two or three candidates, never agreeing more than one, and then fighting over each other, and then they just miss the point. They miss the point again, 3 uncountable years they miss the point. They don't understand that the manifestation of the enlightened one could be as numerous as sentient beings warrants. Immeasurable transformation of Buddhas are regarded as their apparitional body. The complement of the double aim is thus founded. Complement double aim means the Buddha has two aims: to ripen sentient beings and to fulfill the maturity of their own ability to have effect on others. Complement, the double aim is thus founded upon the two of the bodies. So Dharmakaya for oneself, Rupakaya for the others. So the fact that Buddha manifests as any Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya is for the benefit of others. Dharmakaya, one rests in the state of the equilibrium, uncontrived and unpolluted because of one's own enlightenment secured. So now we come to the etymology of these three kayas. Etymology of Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. Sanskrit, the Sanskrit name, because these are Sanskrit words, Sanskrit name for cosmical body is Dharmakaya. Because Obermiller translated the Dharmakaya as a cosmical body. Why he used the word cosmical, to be fair on him, the word dharma means phenomena. The phenomena could be the cosmos, the the hair, the needle, the apple, the horse, the country, any phenomena could have an so the fact that anything can appear in the entire phenomena, entire cosmos, so dharma means the truth. So therefore he translated the cosmical body in those days. These days they translate as truth body. Dharmakaya is truth body. The word kaya is very important. Kaya is Sanskrit word, is derived from the verbal root chi, to collect, accumulate, the cosmic body, is thus regarded as accumulation, because the Dharmakaya is an accumulation, aggregate of all elements, uninfluenced by any defining agencies. Therefore, they regard, they think that's accumulation. Satya Devaya Vivanga accordingly says, the cosmic body is thus called, being the aggregate of all the elements, the substratum of all the unthinkable virtues, and essence of all things, nature which agrees with logic. So dharma means truth, logic, rational, and science, so to speak. Cosmical body, which is the Nirmanakaya, the cosmic body, which is Dharmakaya, is thus reviewed from the standpoint of its being all-pervasive, because sky is all-pervasive, cosmical. That's why Obermiller thought cosmical would be good rendition, thinking it's a all-pervasive, a receptacle of virtue, and demonstrable as the essence of all things. So that's Dharmakaya meaning. And then etymology of Sambhogakaya, the name for the bliss of body, because bliss means Sambhoga, Kaya means body, yeah? Sambhoga means enjoyment. So it means, of course, bliss is enjoyable. These days they translate enjoyment body. Bliss body, enjoyment bodies, it doesn't really matter. The word Sambhoga means bliss and enjoyment. See, Obermiller himself used both. Bliss and enjoyment. And this appellation has been given to the body. Body means form, Yakaya, since it represents existence characterized by the full enjoyment of the truth of the vehicle, as it is said. Full accomplishment meaning that there are 5 particular certainties to this fullness of the enjoyment body. There are 5 certainties. Let's not go into them. Perfectly enjoying the truth, or since it takes delight in the truth, and as it represents the complete enjoyment of the truth. Complete is when there's these 5, The apparitional body now comes back to the third one, which is Nirmanakaya, apparitional body, because Nirmana means manifestation, like an apparition. So apparitional body is quite okay as a translation. These days nobody translates apparition, but they call it Nirmanakaya, manifestation body. Apparitional still does the trick, I think. The apparitional body is called Nirmanakaya. It is apparitional since it is necessarily changes, has no stable existence. Yeah, it's like apparition. It appears, disappears. Like whether it's birth Nirmanakaya, excellent Nirmanakaya, appears and then disappears. Like a flower is beautiful. It makes people very happy. And they pay $30 a bunch and put in a glass. After 30 days, they all withered and they have to give up. Then it apparitional like that. It teaches impermanence through that. Through that you get to know. Apparition body is called Nirmanakaya. Apparition necessarily changes, has no stable existence, and constantly assume new forms as Sutrankalas, By means of like they make sand mandalas, Sand mandala is beautiful teaching, People say, wow. But as soon as people start to say, wow, they sweep away right before your naked eyes to teach you that all appearance are not real, not permanent, not truly existing. So the teaching is so... assume new form. By means of innumerable transformation inconceivable in the mind, the wisdom of Buddha brings about the fulfillment of all aspects, all projects of living beings. Yeah, the Nirmanakaya teaches that things are impermanent. Things are impermanent because people are stuck in thinking, I'm the same person. He's the same person. They did this to me. I didn't do this. I don't get anywhere. I'm same as what I was. People stuck in thinking they are them all the time. I am. They don't realize they are not anymore the same. Nobody say I'm not anymore. Nobody they say I'm the same one. The suffering comes because of that. Suffering comes because of that, because of I am. I mean, an apparition body, the Nirmanakaya teaching body teaches that you are not permanent. And nor is anything that is conditioned. All conditioned things are impermanent. And yet people refuse to accept changes. Whether this to that, or tall to short, or slim to fat, or fat to slim, whatever that happen, they really wish they stayed the same. Which is looking for more trouble, actually. You and I be suspended here for the rest of life if everything not changed. So there's no logic to it. So the teaching of Nirmanakaya teaches that all things are just an apparition. Really, it is true. You wouldn't believe what was like you and them, or your health, your status, or someone to someone, and now look at what he does to him. Look at what doesn't do him to anymore. Now, before he will do everything for him, now he doesn't want to do anything to each other. What has happened? Apparitionally, everything is transient. This is not a fault of anybody. It's a nature of the reality. Nature of all things that are conditioned. This is amazing teaching, Teaching. Fulfillment of all the project of living beings. Apparitional body, Sambhoga and the Nirmanakaya teaches that has a plan to teach sentient beings that everything is impermanent. Everything is impermanent. They're sending text messages to everybody that everything's impermanent. Take it easy. It's really good teaching, that one. So if we have a department of education sending to everything's impermanent, take it easy. It would be a very good message, don't you think? Coming from the Department of Education or Security every now and then. Take it easy, let go, everything's impermanent. These days you get messages from the department to everyone. Say, there will be a sort of like a power outage. 5 days time, they let power outage in 5 days time. They should say that everything is impermanent before that. Anyway, so that's the etymology of the three kayas, okay? Definite number of the bodies. Now, why they have these three bodies? Definite number of the bodies refers to the kayas, in correspondence with the aim. It says, we read in the Sutra Alankara, all forms of Buddhas are contained in the three bodies. So, all the Buddha's forms are contained in these three bodies, which represent the substratum. Substratum is Dharmakaya, the fulfillment of one's own aim. So that is Dharmakaya is for oneself, and that of others respectively. Others is the Rupakaya, which is subdivided into the Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya, is for the sake of others. Thus we have bodies of bliss. Bliss is the enjoyment body, the complement of one's own aim, the apparitional as that of the welfare of others, and the cosmical as the substratum of the former two. So the Dharmakaya is substratum of the both of them, and the enjoyment body is for oneself, and manifestation body, Nirmanakaya, is for the sake of others. So that's in relation to the why that there are three bodies. Then different kinds of intellect perceiving bodies. So who sees which of the three bodies? Yeah, this is the question. This is very important understanding. And when you study Vajrayana Buddhism and practice, people who don't understand Vajrayana deity yoga need to understand the concept of three kayas. Three kayas is the cosmical body, which is the Dharmakaya, is invisible. It's not visible. You and I cannot see the cosmical body or the Dharmakaya. But we can also not see this enjoyment body. Enjoyment body is for bodhisattvas above 10 bhumis. And for themselves, they're dwelling in that enjoyment. But for the sake of other sentient beings, they have to manifest as Nirmanakaya. And therefore, when we teachers are passing away, we request them not to totally attain nirvana, but come back, assume another operational body. We request tulku. We ask them to come back as a manifestation. So the different kinds of intellect perceiving the three bodies. This is very important. The cosmic body is in its complete form is accessible to the knowledge of the Buddhas alone. Yeah, the Dharmakaya cannot be accessed by anybody but the Buddha themselves. Those who have attained the eighth or the first stage are capable of intuiting its refractions. And the bodhisattvas who abide in the stage of faith have but a general notion of it. Yeah? As to the body of bliss, which is Sambhogakaya, there are two opinions. As to whose element it might be, that which consider it to be perceived exclusively by bodhisattvas, that's usually the main case, that have attained the 10th stage, and that which admits it to the sphere of all who have reached the main stages. So some great practitioners in their meditation, they have visions of the Buddhas in the Sambhogakaya form. This is to an indication of the Buddhas come to visit you. It means that your veil of negativities are removed, and therefore you are now able to see the Buddhas because you are on the same levels. Yeah. If you don't reach that same level, it doesn't mean that you will be lifted 10 miles in the sky, or you've been taken into some other realms. It's not like that. It's your obscuration become removed, and then you can see the Sambhogakaya. Sambhogakaya manifestation can be seen by bodhisattvas reaching those levels. The first opinion is expressed in the Ratnavali. Ratnavali is by Nagarjuna in the passage that it ends in the verse, Lord of the region, unthinkable divine wisdom, is the general supreme God. And by the Madhyamika Dharmatra, who likewise says that bliss of body proper is perceived by those who have attained the 10th stage. Yeah, if you reach the 10th Bhumi Bodhisattva, then you can see the enjoyment bodies. As to the second version, we read in the Tri Sharana Saptati, this is 70 verse about the virtues of the refuge in the Buddha gem, Dharma gem, Sangha gem. It says, emerge from the immeasurable accumulation merit, the sons of the Buddhas abide in the 10 stages, behold the body which completely enjoys the truth of the doctrine. This body becomes thus the element of each bodhisattva. As concerned, the apparitional body, which is Nirmanakaya, its highest form, when needed, manifests itself after the degree of heat. Degree of heat means when you have the path of preparation, they have a heat, peak, forbearance, and excellence. These 4 sub-stages within the path preparation. So it says degree of heat, but in general, the manifestation body begins with the great path of accumulation. So you can see the path of accumulation. When you have, you already can assume the form of path of emanation when you are on the path of accumulation. As says the Sutra Alankara, Buddha, whom it is not so easy to behold, may thus be seen. So then you can see apparition, the nirmanakaya form of the Buddha when you reach the path of accumulation. People have visions and experiences because they are already on the path of accumulation. Probably not beginner path of accumulation, definitely advanced path of accumulation. You can have vision of the Buddha's the emanation manifestation, sambhog, the nirmanakaya aspect. As to the manifest apparition form of incarnation, we read in the Abhisamaya Alankara, if all the factors of a perfection in the converts are brought to maturity, means when you have completely matured spiritually, wherever and whenever his help is needed, at that place and time he manifests himself. Yeah, then you can actually see. You can see, have the vision of the Nirmanakayas, and they will also speak to you, they'll give prophecy to you, and so on. To those who are not converted, as well as to the converts that are unworthy, Buddha does not appear. Yeah. So those who have not yet reached a certain level, then they cannot see the Buddha. Even in front of Buddha, they cannot see the Buddha. Like Lekpe Karma, a guy named Lekpe Karma, he couldn't see the Buddha in the Buddha. Everybody can see the Buddha in the Buddha, but he couldn't see the Buddha in the Buddha. And nor did his cousin Devadatta couldn't see a Buddha in the Buddha. Devadatta saw Buddha as a rival. So it's not the Buddha is not some object out there, but Buddha actually is a manifestation of the mind of the individuals. So that's very important, interesting, isn't it? So when you and I practice rigorously and diligently, then you will see even someone is conventionally very aggressive to you, you will see them as someone who's giving you opportunity to practice patience, and so you have more reverence towards that. As the real teaching is not the theoretical teaching, the practice teaching, and you are actually made to practice the teaching. And when you can see that, then someone that you previously have challenges with appears as a Buddha to you because your development warrants it. Your development warrants it. You actually see something outside as you are inside. As within, so without, they call it. Sutra Alankara says, as in a broken water pot, a reflection of moon cannot be seen. In the same way to those that are evil, Buddha does not manifest himself. Yeah. In a broken pot, you could not see the reflection because it's got no water, it can't contain. It can't contain any water, therefore no reflection can be seen. For the moon's reflection to appear, the pot has to be unbroken in which the water is filled. Then no matter how small the pot is, the reflection will manifest. So that's why when we don't have the pot-like qualities, the pot that is upside down, not a pot. Because there's no water in which the moon can reflect. That's put upside down. Pot that is leaking, the water is dripping, so there's no water in which can reflect. Yeah? So therefore, it has to be a pot that is completely devoid of the upside down pot, or muddy pot, or a leaky pot. So when we are free of these three facts of a pot, which we discussed a couple of sessions ago, that how disciples should be free of these three pots, three faults of a vessel. Lack of attention, distracted mind, that is pot upside down, and a dirty pot, which is like a mind defiled by boredom or doubt or dullness or lack of faith, that kind of thing. And a pot that is leaking is this mind is not retaining anything. So one should therefore be free of those things. Okay, next part. Varieties of the bodies. In regard to the varieties of the bodies, which we already talked about, three, we first of all take into consideration the cosmical body, Dharmakaya. Suvarna Prabhasha Seta text says, the cosmical body, which Dharmakaya, is that which represents absolute truth and unerring transcendental wisdom. The cosmical body may thus be viewed as a substratum and essence of all elements, as the absolute and divine transcendental wisdom, and as either active or immutable. As concerns the bliss body, which is Sambhogakaya, we quote the opinion of Madhyamika Dharmamitra. The great body of bliss, Sambhogakaya, is perceived only by Bodhisattva who has attained the 10th stage, but that which, being in reality the special form of the apparitional body, seen already by the Bodhisattva who has reached that first stage, is likewise known as the bliss body. The first of the varieties has 5 definite characteristics. Remember, I said there are five enjoyment body unnecessarily to be completely enjoyed. You have to have 5 characteristics. These 5 characteristics are 5 definite characteristics. What are the 5 characteristics? The first is definite location. Definite location is Akanishta. Akanishta is heaven, particular heaven of the Buddhas. You have to be there to see them. So first that. Second, it is said in the Akanishta form is part of the pure spheres. It's going on about the. Let's talk about that. It is said in the Akanishta form, a part of the 3 pure spheres. In the Lankavatara, we read, it is in the delightful region Akanishta. Akanishta means not below. Not below means heaven, because it's a Sanskrit word. When you have a negative, it means not below means above. What is above? High, heaven. Heaven is above, isn't it? So Akanishta means not below. They're using interesting language here. Shining with divine jewels in the highest pure spheres, Supreme Buddha has come to full enlightenment as to the incarnate forms. Such attain Buddhahood here in this world. And in the Tantra it says, if the pure spheres are abandoned, etc., teacher Kamalashila says, Akanisha is the realm of the gods. One part of it is residence of the gods of the pure spheres, and there only the saints have their dwelling. Above them there is a region called abode of the great Supreme God, where the Bodhisattvas that they are on the 10th stage have their last birth. The incarnation of the such Bodhisattvas of the same time manifest themselves here in this world. So it is said in the scripture, Madhyamika Dharmamitra considered the abode of body of bliss to be the region Andara Garbha Pushna Alankara, he says. He says that, 90 probably is nearly billion, if not 10 million. Worlds of 4 continents form the 3 chilicosms. The latter then taken times are equal to the Paras Anusandhi, and another 90 and 1 digit. Such aggregates of worlds are Parasatantu. This one being thus taken into times constitute, so it gives a very complicated description of the Akanishta heavens. So that's the first. First is the Akanishta is the definite location. Second is the definite essence. Definite essence is the nature of the enjoyment body is necessarily enjoying 112 marks. That endowed with 32 characteristics of Buddha with 80 secondary features. So meaning 112 marks. So that each of the Buddhas have all the 112 marks. So that's the Sambhogakaya. And then the definite audience. The audience of adherence formed by bodhisattvas at the 10th stage. So audience are all 10th Bhumi bodhisattvas. There's no longer nobody is 9th grade or 8th grade, all 10th grade bodhisattvas. So that's the definite audience, definite essence, definite time, definite location. That's the Akanishta. Fourth is definite character of enjoyments, taking delight in the truth of the gravy, always listening, meditating on the meaning of the Mahayana teachings. So that's the always Mahayana teachings. Never talk about attaining nirvana for yourself or seeking higher rebirth for yourself. Not that kind of, for the sake of all sentient beings. So that's and the time is eternity. Time is, there's no ups and downs of time. There's always eternal. So that's a definite time. So these are the five definite, five certainties. These days we translate it as five certainties. Sambhogakaya has five certainty. Certainty of the place. That's Akanishta. Certainty of the teacher, which is the enlightened one with 112 marks, and the certainty of the audience, the bodhisattva, certainty of the teaching, Mahayana teachings, and the certainty of time and infinite. As regard the operational body, now we come to the Nirmanakaya body, taking delight. We read in the Sutra Ankala, I'm reading the wrong line. As regard to operational body, Nirmana, we read in the Sutra Ankala, by constantly showing acts of great dexterity, birth and an individual form, attainment of enlightenment, and that of nirvana. That's like the Shakyamuni Buddha. In this month, we celebrate his birth, enlightenment, and passing away. This operational body, Nirmanakaya, proves a sure means of final deliverance. Yeah, through his coming to the world, he shows the way to achieve deliverance, means liberation. Thus, we see the operational body is four aspects. Yeah, first of all, it manifests itself as Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma means divine sculpture. He's like a artistic Nirmanakaya, divine sculpture. He just can create incredible things artistically. Vishwakarma or a Gandharva. Gandharva is a celestial musician. And so then it appears in the form of birds and the like. Birds and the like is the birth Nirmanakaya. Buddhas can appear as birds, Buddhas appear as your cat, Buddhas can appear as a dog, Buddhas can appear as a corner shop and a milkman, what tea lady or whatever you call it. You never know who is who. they just disguise as someone really a nuisance to you, but they are actually Buddha. So watch out. Don't take everything as they appear. You never know what they're teaching. So that's in form of birds or the like. Further on, as human incarnation, like Shakyamuni Buddha. Yeah, Shakyamuni Buddha, that's also known. Finally passing away into nirvana. Dharmamitra in his turn speaks of two forms. He thinks there's only two forms now, that which has and has not attained complete maturity. So he says there is a true form Nirmanakaya. But of course, here the artistic birth and excellent Nirmanakaya as a human being, this means they are already mature. They just disguise as incognito, as ordinary. From all this that has been said, we see that the numerous bodhisattvas who have attained the state of Buddha can neither be regarded as a coalesce into one single substance, nor may they, on the other hand, be viewed as a plurality of forms. The idea of unity and plurality cannot be applied to Buddhahood. This is expressed in Sutra Alankara as follows. When the Buddha is in the aspect of absolute, there is neither unity nor plurality, since from one point of view, there are bodies like space, and from the other still adhere to the previous body forms. And from the standpoint of absolute truth, Buddhahood is not a unity. For the bodhisattvas that have come to enlightenment belong to the different families. Accumulation merit of each of them cannot be rendered fruitless. Their morals feats are summarized, and the course of moral progress is beginnerless. Neither is it a plurality, the cosmic body being an undifferentiated whole. So we'll conclude here tonight. This topic of the Buddha appearing, taking so long time to appear, and when they do appear, they appear in these three forms. The Dharmakaya, which nobody can access except the Buddhas, because the Buddhas are no body. Buddhas are enlightened one; they are no person with name or body, and the Sambhogakaya aspects are accessible by Bodhisattva dwelling on the 10th stage, and then Nirmanakaya can be accessed by everyone. It depends whether they appear as a apparitional, really as a divine musician or sculptor or artist. Or there's some people are incredible artisans, They delight millions just because they sang 2 minutes. Or they jump on the stage with the funny clothing and run up and down. Everybody is so happy. Instantly so happy. They must have some offering. Particularly when the lyrics have got some dharma, they can really teach dharma quickly. So, artists make people very happy. I don't know how profoundly they do. Quite a lot of people in their will, they put lots of their money for research. Some people give so much money for medical research. Incredible. We are all enjoying the benefit of those philanthropies from generous people. They're putting so much in the cancer or this research. They are all bodhisattvas, really. We should rejoice these things. We shouldn't look for Buddha only as a long ear-lobed Indian sitting cross-legged on front. These real Buddhas are walking and doing things in your life every day. You should think like that. And their generosity, their ability to do things and willing to do things, willing to do really long or difficult hours repeatedly and difficult position people are doing all the time. You really look at each other's kindness. There's already Buddha in before your naked eyes. So we shouldn't look Buddha into the far distance future or remote past. But the Buddha could be right before us. When we have the good mind, they will reflect that. This is, of course, in spite of the rarity of talking about the actual physical, historical Buddha like Shakyamuni Buddha's coming into the world is very rare. But we as a practitioner, by the coming of the Buddha, it has taught us that we could manifest like a pot, the reflection of the moon in the water. As long as we are not broken pot, we have a chance. So we should stay very unbroken as a pot. And stay very kind, very positive, and then you will see the teaching. Teaching manifests through every object is a manifestation of your thoughts about them, not them, not them. And so therefore, there is a Buddha. There is a Buddha. Because a historical Buddha isn't just born in Kapilavastu and then disappear. No. His incessant manifestations are in this world. We must therefore remove our eye wax and not just clean your face, but remove the real wax of the eyes and try to blink and look carefully what those object appears as, reflect as. The coming of the Buddha means what every situation is teaching you to become awakened. It's very difficult to fall asleep and not wake up. Fall asleep to poor me, fall asleep to how dare he do this, fall asleep to greed and sadness and resentment and lethargy and boredom and high expectation and disappointment. We are falling asleep all the time. When we talk about Buddha, means waking up not to fall asleep to self-blaming or belittling others or seeing the flaws of others and judging them. These are the things that really makes us fall asleep. So coming of the Buddha means that how could we switch our mind to make a Buddha awake, Buddha emerge, Buddha in the making, and see your mind could completely apparitionally realize that all that thing that you thought is no longer it anymore from its own side. Yeah, this is the awareness at its best. Buddhahood is awareness in its state of reality as it is. And you can then radiate compassion to individual sentient beings when they are not predisposing to that state of wakefulness. And that is the real reflection. The suffering, pool of suffering of sentient beings becomes the diver of compassion who can go and rescue the drowned sentient beings into the pool of sufferings. That is the history of Buddhism, really. That is how the Buddha must come. It's not historic coming Buddha, we talk how a Buddha can bud in your mentality, into your conscious awareness. What a wonderful thing to discuss these things in Sakadawa, which is the month when the Buddha got enlightened. He was born and passed away into nirvana. Each year Buddhists celebrate this month with great earnest. And so here we're talking tonight about the three kayas, concept of the three kayas, and of course of which later we will see in the following weeks how the historical Nirmanakaya Shakyamuni Buddha actually made an appearance in the world and taught and did what he did as a conventional, biography of the Buddha is shared and taught around the world. But we need to think about what does coming of the Buddha means. Is that we need to predispose awakening in our state of awareness in every situation, so that we don't sit dull and bored or looking something always from outside to excite us. Not like that, but always seeing how we can resituate, realign and restitute ourselves, and then mirror the awakenings by seeing the object as not as that it appears, but the object as lacking anything from its own side, but reflection. But is the water in which reflects our own state of awareness or lack of it. It's pretty obvious which is which. Thank you, everyone. We'll do the dedication mass. Thank you for listening, being here with everyone, and tuning in from everywhere. Thank you. Om Bade Mere Me Hoga Da De Fo Me Tse Ge Hom Ne Je Me Hale Bere Do Be Ron De Oshana Ba Do De Se Ne De Herenda Mahayana Jije Vajawa Mereda Havagra Mehobe Bekastela Vaza Troho Mahayana Jije Kareja Manju Shinyo Asama Tabadra Dilawa Following all the example Aisha de Dega Ode Mere excellent body Jida Teba Vedanaya Danza where has been born freely without generation. By the way, today is 21st, and so next Thursday, I will ask Jamyangla to read because I'm supposedly traveling. I don't think I'm traveling, but it seems like I'm traveling. I'm traveling to New Zealand, but I'm sure Jamyangla will be able to do the reading. I'll tell him where we stopped. Thank you.